We knew this was coming for quite some time. Sir Lewis Hamilton is unfortunately approaching a very unwanted record at the start of his Ferrari tenure. But what is this record and why is it such a bad one? And why might it not quite be as bad as what some people are making it out to be? Well, let's have a look, guys, here on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Let's dive into this full article on our site here. Lewis Hamilton is on the verge of setting an unfortunate milestone at Ferrari, with his podium drought at the Scuderia now stretching to 18 Grand Prix, equaling a record that has stood for 43 years. If the 7-time world champion fails to finish in the top 3 at this weekend's USGP, Hamilton will surpass Didier Pironi's long-standing record for the most races at the start of a Ferrari career without a podium finish. Pironi's dry spell ended at the 1982 San Marino Grand Prix, his 19th start for the Maranello outfit. For Hamilton, that means Austin represents the final chance to avoid taking outright ownership of the unwanted stats. Hamilton's move to Ferrari from Mercedes ahead of the 2025 season was one of the most anticipated transfers in modern F1 history. The sport's most successful driver joining its most iconic team, yet the partnership has struggled to deliver on its early promise at times. At the Singapore Grand Prix, Hamilton finished 8th after serving a 5-second time penalty, matching Pironi's 18-race mark without a podium. His best results so far have come in sprint weekends, where he claimed a win in Shanghai and a 3rd place in Miami, neither counting towards his official Grand Prix podium tally, because of course, in Pironi's day, there were no sprint races, so it's a bit of an unfair comparison. But it's a bit unfair in general, I'd say, as well. I'll come to why at the end of the video. Pironi's record has remained untouched for more than 4 decades, a testament to how rare it is for a driver of Hamilton's calibre to endure such a barren run at Ferrari. When the 105-time Grand Prix winner signed for the Scuderia, expectations were sky high that he could bring Ferrari back to the front of the grid, but instead the team has struggled to match the consistency of McLaren and Red Bull, with Hamilton often finding himself mired in the midfield. Now, as the championship heads to Austin, the 40-year-old faces the prospect of breaking a record that no Ferrari driver wants. Should he fail to finish in the top 3 in Texas, Hamilton's next opportunity to end the streak will come a week later at the Mexican Grand Prix. However, he will have broke the record by that point. For a driver who has rewritten the record books throughout his career, this is one milestone that Hamilton will be desperate to avoid. So yeah, it's not a truly fair comparison, really, to be honest with you, because for one, if you take Didier Pironi, right, he took over a year to get that first podium. You know, seasons were not as long back then. I think it was about 16 races or so in the early 80s. That's how many races you had to contend with. So Pironi went the entire 1981 season and then a bit more after that into 1982 before getting his first podium for Ferrari. Pironi also in 1982 probably would have been world champion had he not had that career-ending accident with Alain Prost at the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim Ring. In fact, he finished 2nd place despite not competing in the last few rounds of the season because, again, his career was finished by that point due to injuries. So, you know, if he's following in Pironi's footsteps, you know, aside from the injury, it's not a bad person to follow, really. Plus as well, how many podiums has Charles Leclerc had this season? He's had a few in Grand Prix, but not that many. That Ferrari car, on the whole, is just not very good over a Grand Prix distance. We can hypothesize, we can think about why that is the case, we can debate about that, but the fact remains that, relatively in both drivers' hands, it rarely makes the podium. Yes, Leclerc has done better this season on the whole than Hamilton. That's a fact. Simple as that. But it doesn't mean that Hamilton's finished. It doesn't mean that Hamilton's washed. I refuse to accept that, to be honest with you. But what cannot be avoided is the fact that overall, yeah, you would say that he has been disappointing because he's been beaten by Charles Leclerc. But how good is Charles Leclerc? Is he good enough to be a world champion? Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt in my mind. He just needs the car. Will they get the car next season? Will their fortunes improve? Is Hamilton washed? Get your opinions in the comments below, guys. I want to hear what you have to say on this one as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this, guys. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today. Plenty more content coming your way ahead of the USGP where, yeah, it's been a good track over the years for Hamilton, but I think he's going to break that record, to be honest. I don't really see him getting a podium, but stranger things have definitely happened around COTA.